Hello everyone and welcome to part 2 of the explosion box tutorial. I am Katya with Lunar Sun Creations, and if you are new to my channel, hello and welcome. On this channel we do mostly paper crafting, a lot of albums and scrapbooking type things, card making, all that sort of stuff, some mixed media. So today we've in part 1 we made our box. Alright, and in part 2 now we are going to add elements, page elements, to our 4 sides here. We're going to keep this open so that you can put a present inside the box as well as the box being a present. So I'm going to set this aside for now and we're going to get our pieces ready for page 1. I guess they're pages. I don't really know what to call them. Quadrant 1, side 1. Alright, so for the first quadrant, it sounds funny, but anyway, we will need, your piece A is going to be 6 3/4 by 10 5/8. Your B is going to be 6 3/4 by 10 3/4. Your C will be 5 inches by 6 inches. This is all in inches, by the way. D will be 4.5 by 5. E will be 5 3/8 by 5 3/4. F is 5 by 5 3/8. And G is 4 1/4 by 5 3/8. Okay, so those are all your pieces that you will need. Now we're going to grab our scoreboard. Okay, we're going to score A on the 10 5/8 side, 5/8 inch side. We're going to score it at 1/2 inch, 5/8 of an inch, 5 5/8, 5 3/4, and that's it for that one. So basically I have 2 little gussets, one little gusset there, one little gusset in the center. Okay, so that's your A piece. Your B piece, again we're going to score on the long side, the 10 3/4 inch side. So we're going to score this one at 1/2, 3/4, 5 3/4, and 5 7/8. Okay, so we've got a 1/4 inch gusset there, an 1/8 of an inch gusset there. Okay, your C piece, we're going to score on the 5 inch side. We're going to score at 1/2, and then we are going to rotate it either way, a 1/4 turn, and we're going to score at 1/2 and 5 1/2 on the 6 inch side. Okay, so this is going to be a pocket, so you've got 2 intersecting lines there. That's your C piece. D, we're going to score at 1/2 on the 4 1/2 inch side. Your E piece, we are going to score on the 5 3/8 inch side, and we're going to score it at 1/2. Okay, and then your F piece, again 1/2 on the 5 3/8 inch side. And the G piece is also 1/2 on the 5 3/8 inch side. So all the last 3 are the same. Well, they're not the same size, but they're all 1/2 on the 5 3/8 inch side. Okay, we're going to put our scoreboard away. We are going to add score tape to all of the 1/2 inch sections on the valley side, so on the indented side of our score line. We're going to add score tape, and you want to make sure that there is a little space Focus. You can do it. A little space between the score line and the score tape itself. Okay, so you don't have any adhesive on the actual area that folds, you know. Okay, so we're going to add score tape to all of the half-inch sections. So in the case of the C piece, which is a pocket, you want it on all 3 sides. And then for the B and the A, you just want the score tape on the half-inch section. You don't want it to go into the gusset. Make sure there's a space between the gusset score lines and the score tape. Okay, now we are going to miter all of our corners. Excuse me, I have the hiccups. So we're going to miter all of our corners. We're just going to take a little snippet off at an angle, but not cutting into the gusset on the A and the B. On the C piece, we're going to trim those 2, and then where the score lines intersect, we're going to cut in until they intersect, and then kind of angle the scissors and cut out. So you've got like a bit of a in-out action. Does that make sense? Okay, and then miter all the corners on these little guys. And then we are going to fold and crease on all of the score lines. And then we can add it onto our box. Okay, so now take your bone folder, and we are going to fold and crease all of our score lines. So we are going to fold, so you've got the indent of the score line on one side and the raised edge on the other side. You're going to want to fold away from the indent. Okay, and that helps to keep the strength of the paper. Helps reduce any chance of the paper cracking from too much stress. So every score line needs to get folded and creased. The better things are creased, the better they'll move as you're going through your pages. So okay, so there's all of our pieces. I'm going to bring in our box. So I'm assuming that you have already seen part 1 of this tutorial and have created this already. If you haven't, then I mean, I would say go in order. Kind of need to have this part done before we move on to this part. So I will link the tutorial for part 1 down below. So I'll let you go and catch up and then come back and do this with us. And if you're like, I have no idea what's even going on and what's happening right now, then I will also link the walkthrough of this entire project, so you can see what it is we're making, and then you'll be like, oh, that's amazing, I want to do that, and then watch part 1 and then come back and watch part 2. Okay, blah 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 blah. I'm going to start. You can start with either the bottom or the top or the bottom, whichever one you so desire. As long as it's it's a vertical, we need a vertical piece is what's happening. Okay, so we are going to adhere the A piece to the right edge, just like that. Now I'm going to, throughout this whole process, use both the adhesive that we have on here, and I'm also going to put a little bit of wet adhesive. I'm using Cosmic Shimmer. Doesn't really matter whatever kind of glue it is that you have and you like. I'm using both of the adhesives because the wet adhesive is stronger and will stand the test of time, whereas the score tape does tend to over time lose its adhesion and pieces will come off and come apart. But it does adhere right away, and I'm not a very patient person, so if you just use the wet adhesive, then this can move all around for a minute or so. I always tend to move it and then things get crooked and everything, so I like having the dry adhesive because it kind of sticks it in place right away. So that is my reasoning behind things. Do as you will. Use one or the other or both, totally up to you. I'm just telling you my logic behind it. Okay, so piece B is going to go onto the left edge. Okay, so you've got A over here and you've got B over here. And now we are going to add our C piece. And the C is going to go on the inside of the A piece. So I like to remove the sides first and then fold up the bottom and have it adhere just to the very corners, and that just creates a cleaner channel for your tags to go through. So this won't work. When you're putting something into the pocket, hair card, there we go. So when you're putting something into the pocket, you need a nice smooth channel. So this is a nice smooth channel, goes all the way to the bottom. When you have the bottom part over top or underneath the sides, sometimes what can happen is it can hit this bottom part, so it's not going all the way to the very bottom. It's like getting hit. It's hitting this bottom part. So it just, I mean, it's not the biggest deal. I just like it that this creates a much smoother channel. There's no interference. Okay, so this is going to go to the inside of your A. Oh, I forgot to put wet adhesive on this one. Well, it is down now. Okay, so I just want to show you that this does not interfere with either one of the gussets. That's one gusset there, the other one there. Okay, so these pieces can still fold really well. It's not interfering with that. The D piece is going to go right here to cover over the pocket and essentially kind of close it so nothing falls out. Okay, the E piece is going to adhere, so we're going to close this up. We're going to work with the B now. So this E piece is going to adhere to the inside of B on the right here. At the top, and we're going to go right against that gusset, but not, make sure we're not into the gusset. Okay, and then your F piece is going to go on the inside of the B, but on the left-hand side. and also at the top. Okay, and now your final piece for this section is your G, and it is going to go on top of the E piece at the top. Okay, and then it's going to fold like this. It's going to go the F over the E, the G over the F. So I kind of wanted it to look like a waterfall would look, but without being a waterfall. So kind of like give that illusion of something that isn't real. Oh gosh. Okay, now we're gonna add a couple magnets and then we're good to go. So I'm gonna put one little piece of score tape on the inside of the G. I'm gonna add 2 magnets, another piece of score tape, and then close that up. Alright, so that'll close that whole section. And then the only other magnet that I would think I'm going to add is going from the B to the A, just to keep that whole part closed. But I don't think we need any other magnets than that. You can, if you want, put one from the back of this to the front of that whole inside section. Completely up to you. Okay, there we go. So there's that. Maybe I will add 1 magnet. So I might add 1 magnet. I think I'm going to keep it nice and tight. So I'm just going to use that same magnet that I'm using over here, make it do double duty. So I'm just letting it adhere to its buddy through the cardstock and just add 1 single magnet and then go like that. And then, yeah, there we go. Okay, perfect. All right, so now we are going to do the next section. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside and we'll get our pieces ready for the next section. Okay, so for this part, you will need your A piece is 5 3/8 by 5 1/2. You'll need 2 B pieces, and they measure 6 3/4 by 11. Your C is 5 3/8 by 6 inches, and your D is 5 inches by 6 inches. All right, so grab your scoreboard. Your A piece, we're going to score at half on the 5 1/2 inch side. Your 2 B pieces, we're going to score at half on the 11 inch side. Okay, and then we're going to flip it over. So that 1/2 inch is, that mark is still at the same spot, still at the 1/2 inch mark. It's just showing the mountain side now. And we're going to score again at 5 3/4. So the reason I do this is because I want these to fold in opposite directions. And I want to always be folding away from that indent. Which means if I want them to go in opposite directions, I need these score lines to be going on opposite sides of the page. Okay, so those are your 2 B's. Your C, we're not going to score anything on the C at all. We're going to do something else with that. The D, we're going to score at 1/2 inch and 5/8 of an inch on the 6 inch side. Okay, you can put your scoreboard away. Now we'll add our score tape to the 1/2 inch sections of these pieces. And you want the score tip to be on the valley, the indented side. Okay, and now we're going to miter our corners and then fold and crease all of the score lines. We'll do the B's together since they're the same. Okay, fabulous. I'm going to get these little bitties out of the way. Okay, so remember that we're folding these in opposite directions, so you have something that looks like that. Okay, bring your box back in. And we're going to be working on the top part now, okay? Alright, I don't know how much I missed. My camera's being a bit of a pain in the butt today, and it keeps turning off without me realizing it. I keep stop recording. I don't know why. All that I've done so far is I've put piece A at the top, at the bottom of the top section of the box. Okay? Piece B, so one of them is going to adhere to the left edge of this upper section. Oh. All right, but now we're going to take the second B and we're going to adhere it onto the edge of the first to make like a Z fold, accordion fold. Okay, so now it folds out like that. All right. Okay, so got our B here, B's here. The A is going to fold over the B's. The C, our goal for the C is we are going to put a hole and a brad right about here. Okay, and then we want it to be able to spin around so that when it's in this position up here, the A will open, but when it's flipped around like this, it closes, it keeps everything shut. All right, and then is even with the top of the page. So we want to make a hole about 1 inch down and in the center. So I'm just going to grab my ruler and make sure I've got center marked on it. So the piece is 5 3/8. So we want it to be just over like 2 5/8, somewhere around there. And about 1 inch down. It's a little bit too close. Let's move it up just a little bit. So I use a little like, what do you call it, craft pick, and just kind of hold it there and then move my piece around until I find the perfect position for it. Okay, so that seems to be pretty good. So it is just shy of an inch. So it's like 7/8 of an inch down. So I'm making a hole in the C piece, and then I need to make a corresponding hole onto the B piece. So I'm actually going to use a gel pen or something like that just so I can see the hole. So I've made the hole in my C. I'm just going to make a little mark on the very top of the B. Okay, so now I know where to put the hole in the B piece. Okay, and then I'm going to get a brad. I just realized I forgot to include brads in our list of things needed at the very beginning of the tutorial. That's all right. You need a brad. All right, so we're going to put the brad through the C piece and then through the B piece, and then open up the tines on the back side. I like to cover my tines with score tape, but I'm not going to do that yet because we will need to remove this brad when we decorate. Okay, so let's move that out of the way, close A, and then that closes up like that. So perfect. Our D piece is going to adhere on the right side of the base, I guess, at the top, and it's going to kind of go over everything. So we can open all of this up if it makes it easier. Okay, so the D piece is going to go on the right side at the top. All right, and it is going to close over everything. So the B, A goes over that, C twists around and folds over that, and then the D goes over that. So we are going to add a couple sets of magnets. I would like a magnet going from the D to the C. Cover over those magnets, and then I'd also like a magnet going from the back of the C piece onto the B. Okay, so up from the back of the C to the to the A. All right, so I'm going to do that. It could actually be at the front. Yeah, we can do that. Okay, so I'm going to put a piece of score tape on the front of the C. I'm going to put one magnet there. All right. I'm going to let another magnet adhere to its buddy on the back side and put a little bit of score tape there. And then let that one adhere to the A. So the reason I'm doing it this way is because now there's nothing on the back side of this that might get caught as it spins around. Like, I don't want anything on the back side of the C so that it has free rein to spin. Okay, so that's why I did it that way, and I'm just going to cover those magnets, and then we can move on to the third quadrant. I don't know why I just like the word quadrant. The third section. Okay, so there is that. Let's move this out of the way, and I'll get our pieces ready for page 3. All right, okay, so we need 2 A pieces, and they measure 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. We need 2 B pieces, and they measure 5 7/8 by 6 3/4. 1 C piece, which is 2.5 by 6. 1 D piece, which is 4 1/4 by 8.5. And 1 E piece that is 5 by 4.5. Okay, so those are all the pieces that you'll need. grab your scoreboard. Okay, so your A pieces, we're going to score on the 4 1/8" side. We're going to score them at 1/2 and 5/8. So both of those, 1/2 and 5/8 on the 4 1/8" side. Okay, your B's, we're going to score at 1/2 and 5/8 on the 5 7/8" side. Okay, the C piece, we're going to score on the 6" side. We're going to score it at 1, 4, and 5. The D, we're going to score at 4 1/4 on the 8 1/2" side. So right down the center. And the E piece, we're going to score at 1/2 on the 4 1/2" side. Okay, perfect. So there's our scoring for this one. And like we've been doing all along, we're going to add score tape to any 1/2" section. So this is our E. D doesn't need any because it doesn't have any 1/2" sections. The C piece doesn't have any 1/2" sections either, but we are going to add some score tape. We are going to put it on the single 1" section. And then we're also going to put it on this farthest one. So the two far ends. Okay. All right, and now we are going to miter the corners and fold and crease. All right, there's our A's, here's our B's. The C we are not going to miter at all. The D also, no score tape, no mitering. And then the E. Okay, so fold and crease all of those score lines, and then we'll put it together. Okay, perfect. Let's bring back our box. Okay, so you can go on either the left or the right, doesn't really matter. We are going to start. The two A's are going to adhere to the left and the right sides. Okay, so the A's go onto the left and the right side, and they're going to meet in the center. I am moving very soon, and I'm going to have a bigger studio, which I'm super excited about. And I was just wondering if once I'm all set up, would you like a new studio tour? Is that something that everyone would be interested in? If so, I will definitely do that. Alright, so we've got our A's here doing a little gatefold. And now our B's are going to go at the top and the bottom of this section. So I really want to be uber organized in my new studio, and I got a label maker and everything so I can label everything and get it all super organized. And I think I'm going to start doing a whole binder system instead of bins. So let me know what you think. If you'd like a studio tour, then, I mean, I'm not moving for a while. It wouldn't be, I'm not moving until, I think, February. So it's still a few months away, but just thought I'd put it out there. Okay, so the B's are on the top and the bottom. Awesome. Okay, so your C piece, the one that looks like this, it will sit into your album like this. So one part will be against the B, and the other part will be adhered to the base. Okay, so because I don't have my pattern paper ready yet to put on here, I'm not going to adhere the base yet. I'm just going to adhere it to B, and I'm going to adhere the base part of it later. I'm just going to leave it like that and adhere that later on. If you know what piece of pattern paper you would like to put down here, then go ahead and do that now, but I'm not quite sure yet. So I am just going to remove the score tape backing from the part that has the double 1-inch sections, and I'm going to kind of line this up. So you want this bottom 1-inch section to be right into the crease of where the B is attached to the base. And I'm going to line it up centered. Okay, and then I'm just going to fold this down like that, like lay it flat. I find that's the easiest way to adhere it. Okay, so now when you lift up the B, this will be attached to the bottom, and it will go like that, and it will lift up and be this little cute little pop-up. Okay, so I'm just going to leave this for now though, and once I add my pattern paper, then I will adhere it in place right there. Alright, and moving forward, so the D piece, which is just a little fold like this, okay, it is going to adhere onto the front of our C piece. Okay, so you want it centered. So we're just going to put some adhesive just onto this section. And you want the bottom of the D to be even with this crease right here in the C. Okay, so you don't want it to go past that crease. All right, so we're going to center it. Okay, so now it will sit like this and open. Okay, I'm just going to let it dry a little bit more though, because I did just use wet adhesive, so it's not quite adhered on there yet. And now we are going to close this up, close the other B, and now we're going to have this E piece going onto the top of the top B and have it close over this the lower B. Okay, so I'm going to have it up there. This B closes, and then this closes over that B. I'm going to put a magnet there. Okay. Amazing. And then the two A pieces will be a gatefold like that. Now for this part, I'm going to have a magnetic swing tab on this part, so I'm going to leave the magnets there for now and do that in the decorating process. And now we can do our last page. Okay, I'm going to get this out of the way and I'll get our pieces happening. Okay, so for part 4, your A piece is going to be 5.5 inches by 7.5. Your B is going to be 5 inches by 8 inches. You're going to need 3 C pieces. and they will measure 4.5 inches by 6 inches. And then you will need one D piece, and it measures 5 inches by 5 7/8. Okay, so that is that. Grab your scoreboard one last time. We're going to score the A on the 7.5 inch side. We're going to score it at 1/2 and 5/8. That's A. The B, we're going to score at 1/2 on the 5 inch side. And then we're going to rotate it and score again at 1/2 and 7.5 on the 8 inch side. All of your C pieces are going to be scored at 1/2 on the 6 inch side. And your D piece, we are going to score at 1/2 and 5/8 on the 5 7/8 inch side, creating another little gusset. Okay, gonna put your scoreboard away. Okay, my apologies. I didn't realize that my camera had stopped recording. I don't know why it keeps shutting off like this. It's being very silly and frustrating. So you didn't see me put together this side. So I'm just gonna quickly show you where each of the pieces go. So you've got your A piece. Okay, so this goes on the far right side of the base. Your B piece is your pocket, which is just underneath here. So that goes on the bottom of the base. Okay, your 3 C pieces are going to be a little waterfall. Okay, so one will just touch the edge. It'll meet the edge here. And then there's about a 3/4 of an inch space in between. So one goes on this side, one hits this side, and the other one goes in between. So there's about a 3/4 inch space between them. And then this is your B pocket right here. Okay, so the A covers over the C and the B pocket, the C's and the B pocket. And then your D piece is here, and your D piece attaches to the base at the top on the left side, and that goes over all of those pieces. So my apologies. I'm going to invest in a new camera so it doesn't do this anymore, but that is what happens there. And then I would just put one magnet on the D going to the top of the A. Okay, so that is your last piece. I'm just showing you here on the prototype. In the actual tutorial, this comes down a little bit farther. Right now there's about a 1/2 inch space, but I made it so it comes down a little bit further than that. Okay, all right, so that is your explosion box. I'm gonna leave it there for today, and then in part 3 we will decorate everything, turn into a real box. Just made me think of Pinocchio. I'm a real boy. I'm a real box now. So, okay, so there it is so far. Join me in part 3 where we will decorate it and make it all pretty. All right, thank you so much for joining me. Please hit that like button and let YouTube know that you like content like this, and that helps me to keep making it. All right, I will see you again very soon. Hope you're all doing well. Have an amazing day. Bye.